Hi everyone, it's Anton from Next Place, and to my there is a chap called Paul Byrne. Paul is from Polesworth. I met Paul a number of years ago. We went to school. We've linked up again recently because I've seen some of the work that he's been doing during this lockdown period. He's set up a group in Polesworth called the Polesworth Coronavirus Support Group, and I've asked Paul to come and have a chat with me, because the work that they're doing in that group is absolutely amazing. I want more people to know about it. I know there are other groups that are out there in Tamworth and surrounding areas that I think can all learn from each other. I want to try and link everybody up so that everybody's receiving the same kind of support. So this is hopefully, depends on how much Paul and I gas, is going to be probably 10 or 20 minutes. Please watch until the end. The things that I really want to cover with Paul, so these are the questions that I've posed to Paul already that hopefully he's going to answer, are what's the group, why did he set it up, and what prompted him to set it up and to do all this stuff voluntarily, who's it for, what does it do, the challenges that it faces, and what's going to happen with the long term. So Paul, thanks for giving us your time today. It's really over to you. So I've seen this thing grow from leaflets, really. So what is it, what's happened, and what are you doing?
I mean, thanks for asking, Anton. It literally grew from a private conversation. So it was a conversation around over coffee way before the lockdown happened, and it was a personal conversation with me and my family about what are we going to do for our grandma if the lockdown comes.
Okay.
And we were literally talking about that. We didn't really know what a lockdown meant. We'd seen it on the television, obviously, for Italy and various other countries that started it. And we were just asking a question amongst ourselves, what's that going to mean about us and our grandma, and how we're going to kind of service her? And that really just prompted the question. And it was honestly quite an innocent question to the Facebook community to say, people of Polesworth, what are you planning to do? Is there something already out there to help the older people in Polesworth, which is where I'm based, and Birchmoor and Wharton? What are we doing? How are we going to get food and the necessities to the older people? And little did I know that single question sparked what turned out to be the creation of a group.
Where was your dad based? So was she miles away, or?
So my grandma's based in Tamworth, not too far from her. So I've got family scattered amongst Polesworth and Tamworth anyway.
Okay.
So we obviously have been coming together as a family to support her. But the feedback I got from that question on Facebook was there's nothing set up as yet. And this is, like I say, this is weeks before lockdown even happened. So I set a group up, not expecting it to be anything like it is now. Just set a group entitled the Polesworth Support Group, Coronavirus Support Group. And within days, that just kind of escalated into 50s and 100s, and now we're over 550 people in that group.
Well, that's amazing. So just from you putting a post out, I take it this was just to your friends, what's everybody doing?
Yeah.
And so that's gone from asking a question to setting up a group with nobody in it to a group with 500 people in it.
That's right. And most people I don't know, of course. But it's been really positive. Of course, initially there was quite a lot of confusion about lots of people had different ideas as to what should happen or what could happen, or even a few people brought ideas from what they'd heard on the news or different communities. But the real positive thing that we did here is we reached out to the councillors.
Okay.
So the parish council in Polesworth, obviously well-established parish council. So not that I've had a lot to do with them in the past, but I reached out to a couple of the members that I found, Adam Fowler and Simon Rose, and we managed quite early on to establish how the parish council and the group could come together to make something a bit more solid. And that, as you said in your introduction, was initially a leaflet drop, which I think lots of communities have done similar things. But what we did with this leaflet drop is we turned this Facebook group of 500 into a core set of probably in the early days, 30 core volunteers
Okay.
that were prepared to walk the streets, to leaflet drop into every single house in Polesworth and Birchmoor and Warton, and put their name and number on there to say, I'll be your contact. If you need something, call me. And that's 30 different volunteers initially that were prepared to offer their personal services. And I think that's really what's made the group, if I'm honest.
So how did you get from, okay, I'll set up a group, I've got a few people that have joined it. You then did you come up with an idea, right, there's an issue here, let's speak to the parish councillors. How did it go from just a group to parish councillors to distributing? How many leaflets have you distributed now?
Well, we've got 9,500 residents in Polesworth. But what we did is we printed the leaflets with the parish council.
Okay.
We added the councillor's name and numbers onto the leaflets. That really gave a little bit of credibility to the group.
Okay.
And also enabled perhaps some of the older people in the community, if they were a little bit uncertain as to whether this was a scam or legitimate, they were able to call the parish councillor and just to check, is this, do you know about this? Is it real? So we invited those volunteers down to the Tithe Barn in the centre of Polesworth.
Okay.
They came down. They chose what road they'd like to look after. Some people took 2, 3, 4 roads themselves, and they took that away as their kind of personal ownership.
Okay.
So they were looking after that road. And initially, I've got to say, in the first week, the feedback was quite strange, because initially the feedback was very much telephone calls to say, thank you for the leaflet, it's just really nice to know you're there. I don't need it. I just need to know you're there.
What did the leaflet say?
So the leaflet basically said a space to write the volunteer's name and number, and it basically said, we're here to help you. We know that things are going to get tough over the coming weeks. We know that you've got questions and concerns. Whatever you need, let us know. It may be dog walking, it may be a telephone chat, it may be shopping, or it may be collecting prescriptions.
So it was just an open-ended invitation of, if you need something, let us know.
Yeah, and it was basically really just connecting a volunteer, a personal introduction of a volunteer to a road and to residents on that road, which I thought was really nice, because rather than anybody just knocking the door, there's a consistent person looking after that street. And I thought that quite reassuring if that was my family that was looking after one road, and I think many people have benefited from that.
Excellent.
Of course, like I say, initially that first week was quite quiet. It was just lots of people saying thank you, but rapidly that changed into prescriptions.
Right.
And very, very quickly we were inundated really with requests to collect prescriptions, either from the Dornard pharmacy or from the Polesworth pharmacy. And that was a little bit challenging, because we're not used to that.
I was going to say,
normal people,
just have to rock up and go, I've come to pick up a prescription for Mrs. Smith. There you go, there's some drugs.
That's right. And of course that doesn't happen normally, and especially for controlled medicine. So the counsellors helped us to almost get accredited with the county council.
Okay.
And the county council, after receiving photo ID from each of our volunteers, have issued a letter to each of those volunteers to just accredit them to the volunteer group. And then for the pharmacy and the surgeries, both at Dordon and Polesworth, they've got a few contact numbers that they can call. So if someone's struggling, they can know who to call from the volunteer group. And also our volunteers are now able to go in and collect the prescriptions on behalf of their residents.
Okay, so it's initially started with potentially dog walking or whatever, but moving on to prescriptions, which obviously you've now gone from posting a question on your Facebook group to someone being accredited by the council to go and pick up somebody's drugs for them. That's in what kind of time frame was this over?
I mean, literally 2 weeks, just over 2 weeks. That happened, and there was a lot of nervousness. Let me say, we've been using Zoom as a bit of a conference tool for the volunteers to come together.
Okay.
There's a lot of nervousness. People in our volunteer group were nervous about asking older people for their money, of course, for shopping, about even going to a pharmacy and asking for medicine. But bit by bit, we've put some procedures in place and been able to give the guys reassurance and ourselves, that we can keep it controlled.
Yep.
We're tracking everything, so we know exactly who's collecting for who, prescribed medicine. We've got some processes in place. And the shopping, we've been able to link in with the local shops. So obviously in Polesworth, you know that we've got the spa, for example, in Polesworth. We've been able to link in with those to give a voucher scheme to allow the volunteer to link directly with the spa to make sure that they're able to shop.
Okay.
And to cover the finances for the volunteer scheme if we need to.
It sounds like you're running a business.
It's felt like it a little bit, yeah.
I'm assuming you've got a job as well.
Yeah, my job's a million miles away from this and in Coventry, but as a director for a different company working in automotive. But I think what's really helped this to thrive is the spirit of the volunteers and the councillors coming together.
Yeah,
we haven't been two different groups.
Yeah,
it's been very controlled. It's been very positive. So the guys have looked for opportunity to make things happen rather than just to moan about how things are not in place already. We've had donations. We've had fridges donated to us.
Oh, wow.
If we need them, we've had local food from the shops. We've had cash donations from local business, and of course the time and energy from the volunteers themselves. And that's helped us to get onto stage 2. So stage 1 was just walking the streets and controlling the residents' requests in those streets.
Yeah.
But since the furloughing, it's affected much more than just the elderly. Okay. So people now are able to come to our food hub, which is we've been running on a Sunday from the Tithe Barn again in Polesworth.
Okay.
And we've opened that up to everybody that needs some support. So that's brought different challenges, of course, consistency of supply and social distancing within the food hub itself. Make sure we're protecting the team and the volunteers and the residents that are coming.
Yeah.
But that's just gone incredibly. I mean, just talking in terms of numbers, we've had a 317% increase from last week to this week. So we can see how it's affecting people in the community. Week by week, day by day, people are needing more and more because they're trying to avoid going to the big supermarkets and protect their family.
So we're recording this on the 14th of April, which is a Tuesday after bank holiday. How many food hubs have happened so far?
We've had three food hubs in Polesworth, and we've had I think 4, maybe 5 in Birchmoor. And we also opened a toy food hub. Sorry, a toy hub. So I mean, a few people were confused by that, but trying to keep young children in the house
entertained
during a lockdown is incredibly tough for some of our families. So what we were able to do is again work with the parish council and some of their funding is to allocate some activity toys. Some of them are just crayons and pens and activity books, and give them to some of the younger families, and that just has helped them to buy some time during this summer Easter shutdown and help to keep the family inside.
So you mentioned about furloughing. For people that don't know what furloughing is, it's the government have put in place rather than laying staff off or making them redundant. Essentially, the government will pay the employer to keep the people employed. Essentially, so don't lose any jobs. And people are only on 80% of their salary, and some people are on 0. There's a lot of self-employed people out there. So since furloughing's happened, you said a lot's changed. So it's not just for the elderly. I'm assuming the families that are struggling out there as well now that you've spotted coming along, or
that's right. We've got families that are expected with toddlers, or we've had some pregnant ladies that need to use the food hub. They're struggling to get hold of baby milk, some of the basic baby supplies. But of course, many families are not poor as such, but they're just in a different set of circumstances as to what they were last month.
Yeah,
and they're just able to get a few basic necessities and just keep them going. And obviously, the furloughing. That's going to take a couple of weeks to catch up.
I think this is the month that it's going to. So for rents for us, I think it's going to be the April rents that will struggle because people were employed up until the middle of March, if you like.
Yeah.
So now it's going to start affecting this pay packet, I think. So I think you're only going to get busier.
Yeah.
Is the food hub, is that like a food bank? The food hub, is it someone goes along with a voucher, or what's?
So the way we've done it so far is the message has been very simple: donate what you can, take what you need.
Okay.
So obviously there's not lots of luxuries there. We did have a few Easter eggs this week, which was nice, and a few cakes. But it's very much around take what you need and donate what you can.
Okay.
And that will change, I'm sure, week on week. Many people have been generous. Like I say, local businesses have been supporting as well. Many people have come down just to put some money in the bucket.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm obviously emotional about it because I've seen it grow over the last month, but I really feel it's the communities come together. They realise that everybody is affected. It's not the elderly now.
Yeah.
It's everybody in the community is affected in some way.
Yeah.
And what started as a very simple question about me and my family has grown into
Has escalated.
and the volunteers and the whole community starting to support it.
So we've got the prescription stuff. We've got the helping people out, whether it's dog walking. We've got the food stuff. So obviously we had a call before this, just to have a bit of a chat about what you have been doing. Just tell me some of the other stuff that you've managed to sort. So things like what's available for the people that are out there that are struggling.
Yeah. So as we're starting to engage with people, and one of the benefits about having volunteers allocated to each road is we're starting to get to know the residents. So we're becoming more and more aware, because the councillors are really heavily supporting this, is they're able to tell us what funding individuals and families can get from local government. So, for example, if your child was eligible for free school meals, that automatically allows you to get some support from the government in many cases.
Okay.
We know many people have had a letter from the government to say they'll be supported anyway.
Yeah.
We're able to remind people of that. So this kind of personal connection on a road by road basis is helping people. But as they're coming to the food hub, let's say a young family comes to the food hub looking for some supplies, we're able to recognise that and start to link them into what schemes are available from the local government with the help of the parish councillors.
So it's gone a lot further now than probably you imagined, I guess, about helping your nan out. Are you going to get her some food? So now you're giving people support about what benefits they can claim. Awesome.
Right. It's just, and I always wondered what it was like when you read these stories of what it was like in the war, when communities came together, and what would it have been like to be there. Well, I think we're seeing it. This is,
I think you're right.
Communities coming together, and even our Just Giving page, which we just put out there to say if anybody wants to donate. Already within a couple of weeks, we're at £700, and this is just people drip feeding a little bit of a £10 here, a £5 there.
Yeah,
it's really heartwarming to see that people want to support. They want to help. Some people just don't know how to help or are unable because they're self-isolating.
Yeah, well, I think there's, as I said to you at the start of the call, there's what I've found since I've been doing all these investigations is that there's these little hubs all around the place. So there's some stuff going on in Tamworth. There's a lady called Alex that set up quite a big support group in Tamworth that I've got to know. And there's probably in places like Amington or Bowl Hall or whatever, there's probably all these things going on, but everybody's just doing their little bit. And it's nice that hopefully that if anybody's watching this video, that they can share it in their own community, because hopefully we can start to join some of these things up, and so other people know that they can get this benefit or they can get that benefit or whatever it may be.
Yeah.
So it sounds like you're doing an awesome job so far. There's been a lot of challenges with social distancing and everything else, and a supply of food, and making sure you've got enough money. Not you, but the group, I guess.
Yeah.
What do you see happening after lockdown? So everybody's come together, everybody's helping each other. There's been a load of challenges. We all know that people have lost their jobs. People self-isolating. People can't get prescriptions. Do you think what's happening now in terms of what we're doing for people is going to change after lockdown? How do you think that's going to be affected?
Oh, yeah, definitely. In basic ways, we're seeing people operate in a different way.
Yeah,
People are becoming used to communicating virtually, and that's becoming the norm. But for me, I've seen already, just within the last month, people getting used to shopping locally, for example. I've had people say, I've never used a local shop, so I automatically go to the big supermarkets. The group of volunteers. And so I think as a natural course of events, we're going to build on that. We're going to use the volunteers going forward to build on the community spirit and to get things done in the community. I think naturally the groups across Tamworth and Atherstone and North Warwickshire and Staffordshire, why wouldn't they continue to come together and be a force for good, bring forth their best practices, and let's just continue to build on it, because the thing that's making this isn't, of course, a little bit of organisation, but the key thing that makes it is the volunteers and the volunteer spirit, and that shouldn't stop at the end of lockdown. That should just continue to grow, I think.
Yeah, I think it will. I think you're right about the war. I think everybody's perception of a lot of things have changed. I think there's a lot of people. I always see because I'm in a lot of community groups, I always see somebody offering to do something, but I'm seeing a hell of a lot more of that now, and it's fantastic to see. And I think what you've done and your team of volunteers, or say your team of volunteers, the team of volunteers, and the people of Polesworth have pulled something together in such a short space of time to help the local community. It's been amazing. And I've watched it grow and change, and I've seen even when it's managed, I've seen the stats put in the group about what percentage of roads have been delivered to, what percentage of properties have been delivered to. I see the pictures of the food hub when it's gone online. It's amazing. I think you've done an amazing job setting it up. Well done. That's from me. So originally from Polesworth. That's a thank you from me and a thank you from hopefully the rest of the community. And it's a sad state of affairs that we're at this point, but we're doing what we need to do to survive, I think. And thank you for putting it all together.
No, it's heartwarming to see that people really do want to come together, and for the right reason. A lot of this stuff is happening in secret. We see a little bit on the Facebook and a little bit of communication, but the real work is done behind the scenes by people that are not mentioned. And so that's true community spirit. Yeah, that's when you know it's real.
Yeah, it is. Well, thanks for taking the time to talk to me. Thank you to you and the volunteers that are putting all this stuff together and continue to put this stuff together. For people that have watched to the end of the video, please go and find the group. If you search Polesworth Corona, you'll find it. Go and join it. See what you can do to help. If you want to donate on the Just Giving page, donate. If you want to put some tins of food in there so that other people can benefit it. I'll put a post out there today about clean out your cupboards. There's loads of stuff in there. There's people that need all this kind of stuff out there in your community, wherever you are. So please get in touch with your local community, see if there's anything you can do. But Paul, thanks for helping out Polesworth. Hopefully this video will help explain what you're doing. Hopefully get the name out there a little bit more, and hopefully get some more support on the back of it.
Yeah, appreciate the support. Thanks for the shout out, Anton.
You're welcome. No worries. Thanks very much.
Bye.